All right, so this is 10.4 graphing quadratic equations. I think you'll find this one fairly easy because we can do most of the work here in the graphing calculator today. So you do need to know some vocabulary to begin with. The first 4 questions on your math lab assignment today are just over the vocabulary, okay? So the first thing you need to know is that a graph of a quadratic equation is called a parabola. All right, that's the U shape that opens up or opens down. If the number in front of x squared, so remember A is that number in front of x squared, if that number is positive, it's going to open up. And if the number is negative, it's going to open down. So you should always know just by looking at the equation whether it's going to open up or down, just by looking at that number in front of x squared. And then the other vocabulary that you need to know is that vertex is the highest or lowest point. So like on this one, it's the lowest point. It's kind of what divides that parabola in two. That line that divides it in two is called the line of symmetry. So basically, we can divide a parabola in two and they would fold right over on top of each other. They're mirrors of each other on both sides. Okay. Here, we'll get to that. Okay? All right. Now, to graph a quadratic equation, the math that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use this formula right here, and that is to find the vertex. And you will have to find the vertex first on all these math lab assignments. But the equation for the vertex is negative b, so negative 1b divided by 2a. Okay, that's the vertex formula. And that is the x value of the vertex. So it's x equals negative 1b over 2a. Once you find the x value of the vertex, so remember we're trying to find the highest or lowest point, then you can substitute that number and find the y value. And I'll show you how to do that. So you always find the vertex first, and then as soon as you find the vertex, then you can just find your other points by looking at your table on your graphing calculator. Okay? Or you can substitute some other numbers in, but I would just look at my graphing calculator. So let's take a look at this one. The first set of problems on MathLab after the 4 vocabulary ones, the next 2, they're just going to give you a table, and they'll just ask you if x is negative 2, what's y? So what you can do is just take your graphing calculator and type in that equation. So y equals negative 3 x squared. So I got my equation typed in there. And then I'm just going to look at the table. Oops, I did mine wrong. Let me go to. Yeah, that should be negative. I have to hit this button. Yeah. So if I
it goes upward, so it's a positive parallel.
yeah. So my negative 2 is going to be up. I'm counting by thirds on this. So if I want to change that, I'm going to change it so it's not counting by thirds. Mine never wants to get off of that. There we go. So if I set my table was counting by thirds, so I'm going to count by ones now.
How do you do that?
To change what it's counting by, I hit second, and then this, see in blue it says table set. So it's up above the button that says window. I hit that one, and then that second one is where it would change. So I want to start at 0, and then I want to count it by ones. Okay, so if I want to know what y is when x is negative 2, I can just look at my table, and it says that y is going to be equal to 12 or negative 12. So I would put negative 12 right there. And then what? Negative 1 is negative 3. Okay, now hang on. Erica's asking me how to do that. So, Erica, y equals, I put the equation in, and then I do second table, and whatever number they ask me for. So if MathLab says, what is y when x is negative 2, you should go up until you find negative 2. Okay, so y is negative 12 and x is negative 2.
How come you don't have any of the decimals?
Because yours is counting by 0.5. So, hey guys, I need you to be quiet because I am recording, so I need you to be quiet. So the reason I don't have decimals is because my table is counting by ones. So to count to change what your table is counting by is if you hit second and window. See, mine right here is counting by ones. So if I go down, I could change that to 0.5s or whatever you want to change it to. So you would want to change yours to ones. But sometimes if you can't find something, you might have to change it to a decimal. But normally you just count by ones. Okay? Does that work now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, does everybody understand that one?
My calculator's broken.
Okay. Get your number.
So it won't go up or down.
Okay, just get your number. All right. Now, guys, we could have just substituted negative 2 in place of x and figured out y. So I do want you to understand how did the calculator get negative 12. That's how it got it. Okay, so whatever way you think is easier, either punching the equation in and finding it on the table, or just substituting the number that MathLab gives you in place of x.
This is so much easier.
Either way is fine with me. Okay? All right. All right, let's keep going. Now, the next several problems on MathLab are graphing. Okay? So we're still, the first thing we have to do is find the vertex. Okay? Gotta find the vertex first. Everybody write this part down.
Where do you want to start at?
It's on the second page, yeah. Write down how to find the vertex, okay? I'm sorry, on the first one I should have had you look at the graph and then choose the right one. I saw Erica doing that, but... Okay, so to find the vertex, the formula for vertex is negative 1b divided by 2a. Okay? What's a in my equation here? What's a? 1/12. What's b? It doesn't have one, so what is it? 0. What's c? 0. It's 0 also. Does everybody understand that? Yeah. A is the number in front of x squared. And then b is supposed to be the number in front of x. This is the formula for vertex. It's a new formula. Okay. So to find the vertex, all we're going to do is substitute our b, which is 0, and our a, which is 1/12.
That would be and C 0.
Because in this equation, b, remember, is the number in front of x. There's not a number in front of, there's not an x even. There's an x squared, but not an x. And c is the number that doesn't, a is 1/12. What's that?
No, I said it's just going to be 1/12.
The a is 1/12, yeah. Oh, no. So what is negative 1 times 0? 0. And then 2 times 1/12 is 1/6. If you do 0 divided by 1/6, you're going to get 0. Okay?
So that's the answer? 0?
That's part of the answer. So I know my vertex is 0 something. So I have an option here. I can take my graphing calculator, and now I can type in the equation. So do 1 divided by 12.
Oh, we have to put parentheses?
I would. And then x squared. And now if you look at your table, what am I looking for?
I'm lost. Even number 630. So I'm going to be negative 12, 0, 0.
Okay.
How come it says error?
Okay. Everybody stop. Stop. We're trying to find the lowest or the highest point, right? The vertex, right? So all we have found so far is just the x value of the vertex. Remember that a point has an x and a y, right? So we found the x part of it. So if I look at x and it's 0, what's y? 0. So the vertex of this equation is 0, 0. That's the, I don't know if it's it's the highest point or lowest point on this one because it's going to go up. Whitney.
Well, I don't understand how you got x equals 0 divided by 1 divided by 6.
2 times 1/12 is 1/6. With me now? Okay. So we have found the vertex now. So on MathLab, what you would do is click 0, 0 as your vertex.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be 0.
No, it won't always be. I'll show you some that aren't here in a minute.
Okay, how
Okay.
What the next one won't be.
Okay? All right. Questions, Whitney?
How did you type this in graphic calculator?
For the y equals button, I typed in parentheses 1/12 parentheses x squared.
Why'd you type that one in?
Because that's my equation for my quadratic. Okay? Do you understand
Yeah.
that? Let me let you look at one on MathLab so you'll know what I'm going to have to do here. What question is that? 6? Is that number 6? 7. Okay. Okay. All right, so for instance on this one, if I find my vertex, I would do -1 times 0 over 2 times 1/13, right? And then 0 divided by 1/13 is 0. So my x is 0, and then if I type this equation in, just trust me that the y is 0 also. So on MathLab, what I would do is I would plot my vertex first. Now, do you see that I'm choosing this tool right here, the parabola tool? When we've graphed before, we've chosen the line tool, but this time we're going to choose the parabola tool. Do not choose this one. Don't choose the one that's sideways. Choose the one that looks like it's going up, okay? So I would choose that parabola tool, and I would graph my vertex. That would be the first thing I would do. Now, watch what happens. When I drag this out and up, see what it's doing? So now the only thing I have to do now is find one other point to graph, and MathLab will graph it for me. So all I have to do is look on my graphing calculator, my table, and find one other point that I could graph. So, well, I've got a lot of decimals here, but this one I could graph 6-3, right? So,
Comes up so much more.
so I would go 6-3 on that and graph that. Now, this is the wrong equation, but I would go over 6 and up 3, and that would be my parabola. Okay, I'm getting ready to go there. Okay? So, the reason we graph the vertex first is because it splits it in half, so then if I go one way, it's automatically putting that other side on there. All right? So it's important for you to find your vertex first. All right, then Juliana's right. The next question on MathLab says, what are the intercepts? So if I'm looking at my graph on this one, does anybody remember what intercepts mean? Where it crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. It only crosses on this one. It only crosses once. It crosses at 0, 0. So my intercepts. So put on there. I think I put it on your all's notes page. The intercepts are 0, 0. That's the only one. Sometimes there's 3 of them. What was the other point we found? 6-3. So this one is the vertex. And this one, you just have to find one other point that you can graph.
Is that a question?
Okay. Go ahead.
Why would the intercept be 0, 0?
Because on on the graph, it only crosses the x and y axis right there. That's the only place it crosses the x or y axis. Mine kind of looks like it does here, but if I zoomed into that, it's really not touching there.
So is the vertex and the
Intercept, they aren't always the same. They are this time, but they're not always. Okay?
On your graphing calculator, when you do it, you get 6.3. When I do it, I get 6 and then 0.0389. And I did the table thing, so
You don't have your exponents on. Okay? All right, any other questions about that one? All right, let's keep going because I want you to see some different ones. So we're going to graph this one, but we're going to start by finding the vertex. Always start by finding the vertex. Okay, so what's A in this problem? 1, because the number in front of x squared is 1. What's B? 0. What's C? -1. And truthfully, I don't even need C for the vertex. Right?
Yeah.
Now that's good, Morgan. That's exactly right. So, substitute -1 times 0 over 2 times 1.
It's -1 over.
No, what's -1 times 0?
Oh, 0.
Right, so 0 over 2, which is 0 again. Yeah, 0 divided by 2 is 0. Now,
0 divided by anything.
that's right. So, what we're figuring out is that when our B is 0, then our X is going to be 0, isn't it? Okay, now, watch this though, Jonathan. You were asking about the Y value. So right now, in our table, we know that when X is 0, we need to know what Y is, because that's going to be our vertex. That's going to be that first point that we click. So let's look in our graphing calculator and see if we can figure out what Y is. So change your equation. Clear that out. Change your equation to x squared minus 1. X squared minus 1. Okay, let's let everybody catch up. So x squared minus 1. And then look at your table. And the first point we want to look at is when x is 0, because that's... So that's our vertex. Right there is our vertex. So 0, -1 is our vertex.
the next one could be 1, 0.
Yeah, the next one could be 1, 0. I mean, it really, at that point, it doesn't matter what you pick next. So you can pick anything. Except sometimes MathLab doesn't go up to 24 or 35, whatever. So you pick something small.
Do we have to put 0, -1?
You have to click that one first in MathLab. You always have to click the vertex first, because then it splits it in half and lets you just pick one other point. Okay? So you got to click that vertex first. But then after that, I don't care. Just pick something else. Okay? So always just find that vertex first and then pick something else. And then when you graph it, it will look like this. Okay, now, Morgan, let's talk about intercepts now, because that's going to be the next question. Okay, now look. Everybody look up here, please. Don't miss the intercepts part. Where does this graph cross the x-axis at?
At 2 spots.
Right here and right there.
So it would be a negative.
You would put both of those. So you would put -1, 0
And 1, 0.
and 1, 0. And that's the x-intercepts.
The y-intercept would be
Then where does it cross the y-axis at?
-1, 0.
At -1, opposite.
0,
-0, -1, right.
So we could put one of those up top and then the one at the bottom.
And you type in.
Okay, listen. In MathLab, you're going to click the vertex and graph it, click your next point and graph it, and you'll hit enter and it'll check your answer. But after that, it's going to say, what are the intercepts? It's another question. So you're going to enter all 3 of these points in.
Okay.
Okay, and the way you enter them in, Whitney, is you type in the first one, put a comma, the second one, put a comma, and it doesn't matter what order. But just make sure you separate them with commas like that.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Does everybody understand the intercepts? You got that? This is just where it crosses the axis. Okay? All right. Let me erase that. And then I want to keep looking at some because I want to show you ones that are a little bit different. So, I mean, they're not different.
So all of these we can put into math, right?
Yeah. Okay. So is this graph going to open up or down?
Down.
Down because that number in front of x squared is negative, right? Okay, so we still got to find our vertex. Okay, so what's our A?
Is
What's our A? Blake, hang with me and please be writing.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. It's the number in front of x squared. What's the B? 6. And the C? Negative 9, but we don't care really about that one for the vertex. We cared about that one when we were trying to solve that, but we don't care about it for the vertex. So, for this one, and Jonathan, this is one where it's not going to end up being 0, because our B is not 0.
Right.
So we got negative 1, and our B is 6, divided by 2 times negative 1.
It's negative 6 on negative 2.
Right? Negative 6 divided by negative 2, which is what? 3. So when we're looking in our table this time, we're not looking for when x is 0. We're looking for when x is 3 this time. Because that's going to be our vertex.
Our vertex is 3, 0.
Okay, I don't. Oh yeah, now.
You get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would it be negative 5?
No, because a negative divided by negative is a positive.
Oh yeah.
How do you type that into the calculator?
So right here, so I hit y equals.
3, 0, and
Okay,
4 negative.
okay, hang on. So in the graphing calculator, I would type just right here, click a negative down here, and then x squared plus 6x minus 9. And then look at your table. And this time we're looking for 3.
3 is 0.
Right. So our vertex this time is 3, 0. And then I can just pick anything else that I want to graph the other point. So like
4, negative 1.
4, negative 1 will work. Okay, now look at your graph. Now what we've got to find are the intercepts. So graph it on your graphing calculator. Let's try to find the intercepts.
There's an intercept. I lied.
There's 2 that I see.
There's 2 that I see also.
Okay, so I see one right here, which is 3, 0.
And then there's one at the very
And then
bottom.
I see one right here, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Isn't it 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 0, negative 9. Okay, now, how could I check and make sure those were right? How could I check it?
Click the answer button.
See that? Say that again.
Click the answer button, see if it says wrong.
Oh, well, that too. But I can look at my table and see if those 2 points were in the table. So if you're not sure, like if you're having a hard time counting or seeing if that's exactly on negative 9, just look in your table and see if it is.
It is.
So I would do 3, 0, comma, negative 9, or 0, negative 9. Okay? All right? Okay, a couple more, and then we'll go. Then I'll let you work.
We'll look at both of them.
Only more. I need 2. We got a work problem here too. Okay.
Oh, there's one on the back, but
All right. Okay, so vertex on this one. Let's do A, B, and C. A is 2. Guys, this is the hardest one, but I promise I'll only put one of these on there, but you need to pay attention to this one. B is negative 9. C is 4. Mainly because of the intercepts. They're not fun. Okay, so my vertex is -1 times -9 over 2 times 2. So my vertex is 9 over 4. Ugh. Not a fun whole number, right?
Oh, so you gotta do the whole thing, of course.
The quadratic.
Okay, now, I might go ahead and divide that so I could tell what to count by on my table. So 9 divided by 4 is 2.25, I think. I think that's right. So what I'm going to do on my graphing calculator this time is, first of all, let's put the equation in. By the way, this is number 14 on your, like I put the numbers on there this time, okay? So this is number 14 on yours. So you do 2x squared minus 9x plus 4. What would I want to count by so that my calculator will show 2.25? What would I need to count by? 0.25s. I need to count by 0.25s. Does that make sense? Okay, so in my table, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit second and window, which is the table set. And I'm going to change where it says change in the table, this one down here. I'm going to change that one to 0.25. Huh? And then I can look at the table now. So second table. So I'm looking for 2.25 in my... Yeah, there it is right there. Stop. Okay. There it is right there. So that means 2.25 is -6.125. Now I'm not sure if MathLab takes the decimal, so let me show you how to change that to a fraction if you need to. Okay, to change -6.125 to a fraction, here's how you do it in your graphing calculator. Do -6.125 and then hit this button that says math and then hit enter and enter again.
-49 over 8.
Right. So MathLab is going to say 9 over 4 and -49 over 8 is the vertex. Okay, that's the vertex. Anybody find another point that we could graph? Yeah, I see 1 and -3 also. So, okay, so that's another point that we can graph. Okay, last thing we have to do is find the intercepts. So look at your graph. And let's see if we can find the intercepts. I'll move mine over.
Would it be 0.5 and...
Okay. So it looks like to me, Whitney, it looks like to me that 0.5 and 0. I'm probably, because that one's a decimal, I'm probably going to go to my table and check that one and make sure. Right? Okay. And then this one is, guys, I feel like some of you have left me here.
No, that's
Up
wrong.
here. It's wrong, so we'll have to go back. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah, 0.5 and 0, sorry.
Okay, so that one's 4, 0. And then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one is 0, 4. So those are my intercepts. This one I would probably look at my table and check, but Whitney said she already checked it, and it's right. But because we were kind of guessing that was 0.5, but she already checked it for us, so that one's right. Okay. All right, then you have one word problem, which is number 15 at the end of this. Oh, so the intercepts on that one were 0.50, 40, and 04. Okay? And we just looked at our graph and found those. Okay? Very good on that. And then which graph was it? A, B, C, or D? B. It was B.
Which one's the X and which one's the Y? Because he had 3 of them.
These two are the X because the number is in the X spot and the zero's in the Y spot. So these two are the X since the number's there. This one is the Y. And I think Morgan's right on that one. They ask you separately on this question. This one's the Y because the number's in the Y. And it's on the Y-axis.
And what graph was it?
It was B. All right, last one. Guys, you should just be able to look at this one and figure it out. So this one says the height of a fireball launched from a Roman candle is given with an initial velocity of 208 feet per second, and its h equals negative 16t squared plus 218.
8.5.
So use the graph to answer the questions. And you guys have the questions on your paper there. Okay, first of all, the first question is what is the maximum height?
You can do that by looking at the graph.
Right. Okay, now. Okay, look. The maximum height is going to be your vertex.
Right there.
6.5.
670.
Okay.
6.5.
6.5 seconds, but what's the height? We can't tell, can we?
675.
Okay, so here's how we're going to figure it out. All we need to do is find our vertex, guys. Okay, what's our A in this equation? Negative 16. What's our B? 208. So we're going to do negative 1 times times 208. Sorry, not negative 208. It's positive. Divided by 2 times 16. So it's negative 208 divided by, negative 16. Divided by negative 32. So what'd you guys get? Is it 6.5 there? You got it? I think it's 6.5. Okay. Now, guys, is that the answer? No, because X is not the height. Y is the height. So you're going to have to type that equation in your graphing calculator and then find 6.5 in the table. So I'm going to do negative 16 x squared plus 208x. And then I'm going to look at my table and try to find 6.5 here.
It's not possible.
But you might have to count by 0.5s. Remember me showing you how to change what you're counting by?
Oh, I was just not going to.
Yeah. So 6.5 is 676 feet. Everybody see that?
But it's still not drawing a graph out.
Well, that's because it's so big, so don't worry about it. You're not going to have to draw the graph on this one. So my height is 676 feet. The next question is going to say, what time does it take to reach that height? Well, we already found that. That's right here. So the next blank is the time, 6.5 seconds. Okay? All right. Last question is, when does the ball reach the ground again? Right here. So the last question is 13 seconds. Okay, it reaches the ground again at 13 seconds. Because right there is where it touched the ground again. Okay? All right, so this math lab is due on Monday, so take advantage of that. That means when you come in on Friday for the 45 minutes, that if you get this assignment done today, you can use Friday to kind of catch up on assignments. Now, some of you guys have your third late one, and you're going to be on a big computer today. I'll come around and talk to each group about that.